It's me, Umi from Umi no Umi Incorporated with my 40 subscribers. Getting straight to it, as I'm sure has become obvious, when I first started this channel, I was making like Minecraft story mode related things, but as of late, I've kind of shifted away from that sort of content, and now I'm doing something a little bit strange. So right now I have a admittedly very, very bad podcast where I literally just whip out my phone as I'm doing right now and I start yapping about my D&D campaign that I'm currently playing in. In that campaign, I play a character called the Rover and I am obsessed with him. If you thought a movie's length worth of animatics from Minecraft story mode was a bad hyperfixation, try multiple one-shots spanning about a novella length when put all together, one-shots for an AU, and also 2 literal physical versions of this one character. It's bad. But the problem is I have a really hard time talking about him in any sort of situation, so I want to go on a little bit of a ramble about him. I want to talk about all of his secret lore that the rest of the players don't know, and I just want to get it all out there and be able to say it, because I love him so dearly. Most of these kind of OC lore dump videos that you'll find on YouTube are like 20 minutes max. This is probably going to be an hour. Let's be so for real right now. There's so much content for this one singular guy.
Now before I get into it, I just have a message for the other players of my campaign in case they happen to be here.
If you're here before I ever said that you could watch this video, you have broken my trust and I hate you forever. I will be taking my son and I will never speak to you ever again. Goodbye.
Now that that's all out of the way,
Let's get right into it.
Editing Umi here. Several times in this video I will be reading parts of the one-shots I've written for this character verbatim, so when I do, I will use pre-recorded audio rather than whatever I said during the presentation that I gave to my roommates. That's all.
Anyway, this is my the Rover. You've never seen this. No one here has seen this before. Who's Rover? I don't know, guys. Yeah, no, I can totally do that. Good question. Who the fuck is the Rover? Who is the Rover? So this is Julian Plenty, aka the Rover.
Name dropping him?
Yeah, I am name dropping him. He's a tabaxi, he's specifically based on a serval, and he's a bard / rogue. He's true neutral, middle of the road, stupid motherfucker. We love true neutral.
Right now. Is he ginger?
Is he ginger? No, his hair's brown. It's like a dirty
Thank
one.
God.
No, he's not ginger. His hair's a dirty one. No, nuh-uh. Could never be Puss in Boots. I mean, look at him. Yeah, of course not ginger. He can never be ginger. Yeah. In universe, he's a popular musician. He's a solo artist. In universe. Also, he's supposed to be a joke character, but I think the fact that I'm giving you a presentation about him should prove otherwise. And also, he's a queer. He's bisexual.
No way!
He's Interpol.
Is that Interpol?
These guys right here, that's Interpol down there.
Oh, that's not. Okay.
Yeah. She's on my poll. She's specifically based on Paul Banks, who's the lead singer, and specifically this version of him in the early 2000s. Not him as he is now, where he's like, he like shaved off. Yeah, no, that's Paul right there. No, I've never seen a bigger twink death than what happened to Paul Banks. However, I still think he's kind of a twink, just in a different way. He's still kind of a twink. If I showed you more pictures of him. Yeah. Also, he's named after Paul's pseudonym, which is Julian Plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah! Yeah, and his stage name is based on the Interpol song, The Rover.
Wow. No originality here. Everything is cool.
I gotta remember, I made him a year ago now. And, like, back then when he was just a joke, I was like, yeah, I birthed him. I was focusing on, like, making as many references as possible. And then later down the line, I just started doing random-ass shit. Also, this is what I mean when I say he's Interpol. This is all of their albums, and there's art for all of them if the Rover made them.
You might be insane.
You think? You think? Anyway, I can talk about the lore now. I can talk about his lore now. So here's our table of contents, because we do actually need one for this nonsense. So these are all the one shots. So I'll start out talking about Alley Cats, which is Julian. He's a little guy. He's like 13. When he's a little guy. Second one is Birth of the Rover. That's when things get bad.
You know Paul's blood type?
No,
Okay,
I don't.
So you know where he lives?
Like,
I guess his blood
he lives in New York. He lives, I think, around Manhattan. He lives in this apartment that used to be like a textile factory, and then they converted it over to like an apartment.
Where you know where he sleeps? So
No, I don't. No. Then there's Roland. That's when things start getting good. Then it's the Clarux Era, which is just a bunch of random ass shit that happens when Rover moves and he's somewhere else. And then it's pop rock. That's when things get queer. That's when dumbass shit is happening. And then this is new to you guys. The last one is Turn On the Bright Lights, named after the album. And it's just one short little thing. Actually two new things that are in here.
When did you write that?
Literally a couple days ago.
Wow.
Ugh.
It's funny because Viola is an abbreviation for boys love, so you could be like, turn on the boys love.
Stop! Wait, but kind of. Wait, but kind of. Don't worry about it. Alley Cats. Yay! Part 1 is called Grim Rite. So we're gonna start off in like it's raining in the streets of this like really gothic kingdom called Adacourt, and no one's out because it's raining and it's storming and it's nighttime. Except for these two tabaxi parents, which are running through the streets, and they're both carrying their children, two kids, and they hide these kids in an alleyway, but they're not able to hide anywhere. And then they get killed by the notorious tabaxi murderer Margaret Polonic.
Tabaxi murderer.
No, like actually, she is known for like killing, not even killing them, like actually skinning them alive.
What?
Yeah, and then she'll make like rugs and coats and stuff.
That's unfortunate. That's like Cruella.
Yeah, literally, this is Cruella de Vil. Anyway, now these 3-year-olds are orphans and they're homeless.
Yay!
Yay! I love trauma. Angst. Part 2 is called Dealers on the Take. I love these guys. So these are the twins, Norman and Julian. When they were younger, the citizens of Adacourt used to like help them around. They'd like give them food and like maybe give them somewhere to stay because they're like, oh my god, cute little tabaxi boy, they're so adorable. But now they're like 8 years old and they're kind of like they're about to reach like double digits, and people are like the people of Adacourt are racist. I'm just gonna say right now, like they're racist.
I was gonna say what the demographic is for Adacourt.
Humans and elves for the most part. So yeah, if you're not that, if you look kind of weird, they hate your ass. And so they're getting older and they're kind of like, wait a minute, these guys are fucking weird. And so they kind of just stop helping out, and then they start having to turn to like thievery and like living out on the streets because nobody gives a shit about these dumb little boys anymore. But they're celebrating their birthday! It's their birthday!
Oh, yay! I wonder what great things are happening on their birthday!
Yeah, no! Huh?
When is their birthday?
Ooh, I swear it's like May something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I swear it's like May something. Hang on. May 3rd. Yeah, anyway, it's their birthday and it's really cute. And Norman like manages to go get like pastries for their birthday, and they're having a grand old time. They're doing great. And then Julian is sitting there and he's eating his pastry and he looks around and he realizes that like nobody else is like sitting here on a bench like in like torn up clothes having to eat like the single pastry you could scrounge up. He's like, wait, shit, my life is awful and I don't deserve any of what is happening to me right now just because someone killed my parents before I could form a coherent thought. Cow a bummer. Anyway, so they're sitting there and they're like low-key kind of crying, and then this Loxodon, her name is Nis. It's like an elephant person. Yeah, she's a white one. She's based on a mammoth. Because there's a song by Interpol called Mammoth. It's off of their third record. Yeah, she shows up. And she's like, oh my god, why are you so sad? Hold on, I'll help you. I'll make you feel like not so sad. So she takes them to a back alley and she's like, here, this will help you. And she gives them this root, which is called Bane, and it's supposed to make them happier. She says. And she gives it to them and then she fucks off. So it makes them low-key kind of apathetic. Kind of. So like they don't feel negative emotions anymore. And Julian is like, wait, this is awesome. and he comes up with the idea that they're going to sell Bane in order to make Adecourt happier, because Adecourt's like dreary as hell, and everyone's miserable because it sucks ass. It's like, what if we sold it, and then we could get rich, because everyone's so sad all the time, and we can make them happy, because he's an 8-year-old and he doesn't understand that he just took weed. But they don't have any, so they are like, well shit, let's go find that Loxodon. But they don't find her, but they do find a white elf that is wearing the same coat that Nis was wearing. So they are just like, fuck it, we'll follow this person, why the hell not? And they follow her all the way to her house. And they sneak into her garden, and they end up finding a stash of Bane that is growing underneath a shed that is in the garden. So they find the weed stash, and they start grabbing all of it, and they're like trying to get away with it, and then Nis shows up. It's like, you guys are trying to steal my shit. This is my business, and now you're trying to steal it from me. And Julian lies. He's like, no, wait, we're not trying to steal, as he's there holding like a bunch of these Bane roots. He's like, we wanna work together and sell it together. This will go great. And so Nis finds out that the Penalties can't count, and that's when she's like, yeah, okay, you guys can work for me. That's chill.
Okay. I got confused. I was like, you think all Tabaxi don't know how to count?
No, specifically these two, the Plenty twins, they cannot count. Yeah, because and also they haven't gone to school. They can't count for shit. And maybe like to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know numbers, but like they can't really tell. Like, this is 30, or maybe. They don't know. They're dumb. Part 3 is called Games for Days. So they've been Bane dealers for 5 years now. But despite that, they're only really able to make enough money to buy like a loaf of bread at the end of each week if they save up. They can't really do much more than that. So they're still not that well off. Also, Norman has become addicted to Bane because he low-key was getting kind of pissed off. He also kind of woke up. He's like, wait a minute, this sucks ass. What's up?
Does Norman die?
Let's keep going. So he's woke. So he's woke. Yeah. He's like, my situation sucks ass, and he's really mad about it. So he starts taking Bane because he doesn't want to be mad about it anymore. But he's taken so much of it that he's like borderline unfeeling and unresponsive. Like he's a husk. He's low-key kind of losing it.
He's husk.
What do you mean he's a husk? No, what do you mean he's husk? What is that?
Isn't he like a he's
Isn't that like he's a husk?
Oh.
Oh.
I don't know that. Like he's
Oh, okay. Anyways,
yeah, that's right. I'm body shaming.
yeah, we're body shaming here.
I love body.
Anyway, so Julian admittedly starts getting like kind of worried. He's like, my brother is addicted to Bane, and he's like not even talking to me anymore because he can't even hear what I'm saying to him. So he starts trying to look for someone who can help Norman, but he can't pay for it because he's broke as shit, and because he only has enough money to buy a loaf of bread at the end of each week. So he decides.
Each week?
Yes, each week.
One loaf of bread?
One loaf of bread per week, so they have to ration out their bread over the entire week.
He's starving.
Yes, they're literally like starving little British boys. That's what they are.
Please, can I have some more?
Literally them! But Julian is like, okay, well, I can't pay for anybody, so I'm gonna go to Nis because, you know, she knows about Bane. Maybe she can do something to help me. So, Julian goes to her house, like, in the middle of the night, but is not greeted by Nis. It is instead greeted by Mauve, who is the elf that they followed to this house. And so Julian kind of starts explaining his situation to her, and he also thinks that Nis might be taking more of their money than she deserves. Like, it's supposed to be a 50-50 split. He thinks that it's not that.
I wonder
why he would ever possibly think that. But Mauve lets him inside, and she leaves, and she goes off to get Nis. And while she's gone, Julian's like sitting at a table, and he finds this little deck of cards sitting there, and he starts like kind of shuffling through it, just kind of messing around. And he kind of memorizes where all the cards are in the deck, and then he accidentally like pokes a hole into the Ace of Hearts specifically. Mostly because he gets scared when he hears Nis coming down the stairs. He's like, ah, shit! And then he pokes the card, and he makes a little hole in it. But Nis shows up, and she's smoking Bane, which is actually kind of important. And Julian asks for her help, and he's like, please help my brother. He's like dying, actually. He's addicted off of Bane. And if you can't help me, then can you at least give me more money so that I can pay to get him like a doctor? But she doesn't want to do that. So she decides, let's settle this debate over a little game of poker. You're gonna bet for your brother's life right now.
And he's like 13.
Yeah, he's like 13.
And
And
he's like a full adult. She's like, you know what? Poker with a 13-year-old. Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds really fair.
No, this sounds really, really fair to do this.
Yeah.
But they do that. They start playing poker. And during the game, like while they're like setting up a pot, it gets kind of revealed that like, yeah, she has been splitting the earnings really unevenly. Because Julian only has 7 gold to his name, and Nis has like 30. And that's like from her earnings from the last week. So she puts her 23 gold, aside from like the 7, into the pot. It's like, oh, you can earn your raise if you beat me now. So you can get a raise and you can save your brother. Isn't that so cool? Isn't that so crazy? But yeah, they start playing, and Nis starts talking about why she's really against helping Norman. And it's basically because Norman is super rambunctious and rebellious. He's like constantly getting into trouble. He's kind of the reason why like the police are kind of onto them, because he just keeps fucking around. And you know, also he got high off of her stash of Bane that she's growing. Meanwhile, Julian is really complacent, and he does what he's told, and he stays out of trouble, and he's admittedly smarter than Norman is. So if Norman died, that would be in her best interest, because what the hell is Julian gonna do? Like, he can't get another job. He's 13 years old, and he's been selling drugs for the past 5 years. No matter what, he's kind of stuck in this situation. So it's best that Norman die for her. But Julian ends up cheating to win the game. Nis doesn't notice because she's high off of Bane and can't be bothered to give a shit about what Julian is doing. So she's actually not paying attention to the fact that he's like blatantly like pulling the Ace of Hearts out of the deck. But he wins with 3 of a kind against Nis's 2 pair.
I know poker now because I played a lot.
But you know, grudgingly, Nis like hands over her gold and also like some herbs that's supposed to stop the headaches that Norman has been having. And she's like, keep Norman off of Bane and give him this shit and he'll be fine.
You know what? Kudos to her for keeping her promise.
Honestly, yeah, kudos to her for keeping her promise. But yeah, it's okay now. He goes in and he gives the things to Norman, and he's like, okay, and it's all right. Wait a minute. Part 4 is called Paid for That. So it's been like a couple weeks, I'd say, and the twins are going off to sell Bane to some elf woman that they know nothing about. But Norman is like kind of convinced that he's like seen this woman before. You know, maybe her name starts with an M or maybe like an N. He's not sure. I don't know. So Norman goes off and he goes to meet with the elf, and Julian is supposed to be staying behind and keeping watch. But Norman starts like running back down the alley, and he's getting chased by royal guards. And so they like hitch a ride on the back of this like moving carriage, and they start talking to each other, like, you know, what the fuck happened? And yeah, changeling. Yeah. So Nis is a changeling. Nis and Maul are the same person, and Nis found out that Julian had cheated at the game, and then sold them out to the police. And now they get surrounded by the cops.
Who are probably racist as well.
Who are probably racist as well. And also, I wonder what it means when you get surrounded by the cops. It means bad things are going to happen. Rover. You can tell this one's really good, right?
Yeah.
You can tell this one's really good by those warnings, right? You can tell this one's really, really good. So this one is split into 4 parts. We'll start off with, again, being at 13 years old, which, because I'm a bad writer and bad at writing one-shots, I had to divide that one up even further because it was such a big one-shot. Then it's 17 years old, then it's 18 years old, and then it's 23 years old. So a whole 10 years span of shit that is going down. Great things are gonna happen. So part 1 of 13 years old is called Thieves and Snakes. The twins are in jail now because they got caught by the cops. But it's fine. They get taken off to the cafeteria and they find this little group of tabaxi. And they're chilling out and it's great. So a Black Panther, his name is Renegade Heart, named after the Interpol song Renegade Hearts. That one's off of their most recent record, or The Other Side of Make Believe. Anyway. Stop! Sponsored by Kamala Harris. But yeah, Renegade, he's talking to them and he's like, just stay on your best behavior, you'll be chill, you know, you're like kids, everyone will kind of leave you alone, because, you know, most of these guys have families, it'll be chill.
They put the kids in with the adults?
Okay, here's the thing. This prison is crazy fucking corrupt. It's not divided up, like most, like prisons are divided out by gender, it's not divided by gender, it's not divided by, like, age, it's not divided out by, like, the severity of your crime. You could be, like, a petty thief, or you could be like a mass murderer and end up in the same prison. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
This prison is terrible. It's so bad, and it's located beneath the castle, like where the where the king and queen are. So like you can walk downstairs and like see the prisoners.
Okay.
This prison is fucked up. Yeah, Renegade's talking to them. And he's like, just chill the hell out and you'll be fine. And also stay away from like these two humans, which are Margaret and a guy called the Rover, which I'm just gonna be calling Rover Senior.
Okay.
The Rover is a title in the out-of-court prisons. They give it to the most ruthless prisoner.
It's a real Pirate Roberts thing, as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, so like either you can be worse than the last Rover, or you can kill the last Rover and end up as the new one.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying here? Gotcha. You see what I'm putting down. But yeah, it's chill. They get out of the cafeteria because the prison food is ass, and Julian's like, dude, this sucks. And so they screw off and they go to their cell and they're like chilling out and it's cute. And Julian's like, you know what? We're gonna be chill. We're just gonna serve our 5 years that we have here, and it's gonna be perfectly fine.
They eat a loaf of bread each week, and they're like, prison food is kind of ass.
No, it was actually so like in the text. I remembered the water was described as being stale.
Oh.
If that says anything, like it's like prison slop. It's not like food; it's slop.
It's like just a big bowl of grits or something.
Yeah, it's shit. It's bad. It's not
shit. They're eating shit.
Anyway. So part 2 is called Always Fall in These Fights. So a couple months pass, and Norman and Julian end up getting some jobs in the prison. Norman is like serving food as like a little like cafeteria waiter, and Julian, like, they found a coffee grinder out in the prison yard. They just found it buried out there, and they're like, oh shit, this is so cool. So they brought it inside, and they let Julian man the thing. They're like, yeah, you can sit here and you can grind up coffee beans all day, and specifically only the guards can have coffee. The prisoners can't have coffee, because, you know, why the fuck should they get coffee? They're prisoners. Screw those guys. But yeah, so one day Julian, he's in the kitchen by himself. He's, you know, just chilling out. He likes to chill out in the kitchen early. He likes to get there early. And then Margaret shows up, and she starts acting kind of weird. And also, like, I can't really show you how weird this is without reading it, so now I have to.
My first stands on end the moment I realize who's entered the kitchen. It's the woman that Renegade told Norman and I to look out for. I had forgotten that she also works back here. I turn my attention back to the coffee grinder, praying that she'll just ignore me. But I know she won't. She must have realized I was coming here early and saw it as her moment to strike. But I keep my head down and pretend I'm not bothered by her presence. If I just pretend everything's okay, if I keep out of trouble, then everything will be fine. At least, that's what I hope. I hear the woman stop beside me. I feel her watching me for what feels like a lifetime. Eventually, the agonizing silence gets to be too much for me, and I finally pipe up. Can I help you? What, not even a good morning? We're not friends, and I don't know you. So no, I reply. And if it's coffee you want, then tough luck, because it's only for the guards. You know that. Who said I was here for coffee? She picks up the cup of coffee that I'd stress brewed and takes a sip of it. Shouldn't you be getting ready for breakfast? I mumble, struggling to hold back the irritation in my voice. There's some time before then. You know that. I wince as she slides to sit beside me in the chair, but I can't will myself to get up and leave. I don't have a good enough excuse that she'd buy. And who's to say that she won't just follow after me? I start grinding up more coffee beans just to distract myself. Why are you doing that? I'm doing my job, I say, like you should be instead of bothering me. Rude, are we? She croons as she draws a finger beneath my chin and moves my head to face her. Every inch of me screams to pull away as she looks me up and down, but I don't. I can't get myself to do so much as lift a finger, and all I can do is dart my eyes around the room, doing everything in my power not to make eye contact with her.
But then Norman shows up, and he, like, punches her across the face. And he's like, keep your hands off my brother. And then they run away and they go out into the prison yard. And they're out there, and then they get cornered by Margaret and Rover Senior out in the courtyard. And then Norman kind of gets beaten. Like, he gets beat up by Rover Senior. And Julian gets his left eye damaged after Margaret, like, picks him up and throws him into, like, the corner of the wall. Like where the door would be right there. Yeah. And it strikes right in his eye. But yeah, part 3 is called Not the Type to Cry. You can kind of see what happened here. So Julian wakes up, and he's in the prison hospital. He's not dead. Thank God. He's okay! He's fine! A little halfling pops up, and they start kind of explaining what happened, you know. There was a fight in the courtyard, and your eye got really damaged, and we couldn't really do anything about it, so we just, like, got rid of it. Hope that's okay. You know, your depth perception and, like, your peripheries are gonna be fucked up for the rest of your life, but, like, we'll get used to it.
As if having an open eye socket isn't a crazy infection risk.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's rough, but I mean, like, it's just an eye socket.
It's just a nice.
Just an eye socket.
How come he never gets a glass eye? Or does he?
I don't know if they have glass eyes.
Okay.
Like, I genuinely don't know if they exist. And also, like, honestly, he's a fucking idiot. He probably also wouldn't know that they exist.
Well, yeah. You could just, like, lose it if he had it.
Maybe.
Because he just wears an eye patch, right?
He doesn't wear an eye patch. He doesn't have anything.
What is he wearing?
He covers up his eyes with his hair.
His hair. That I was thinking of. Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking of.
Yes! Anyway, he finds out that Norman's dead. Yeah, he got beat to death.
Who could have predicted that? That's crazy.
Who could have predicted this?
That's so crazy.
Oh man, that's so wild. Cool. We're on to 17 years old now. So after the death of Norman, Julian ends up spending like the next 4 years without having a cellmate anymore. So he just kind of lives on his own because the guards couldn't be bothered to give him a new one. They just don't give enough of a shit to give him someone else to live with, which is honestly for the best. Julian would low-key be kind of pissed off if there was someone else sleeping in Norman's bed. But also the other Tabaxi were supposedly killed during an attempted outbreak. So now Julian's really all on his own.
He's the only Tabaxi left?
He's the only Tabaxi left in this prison.
Are there siblings and stuff like that?
Yeah, you know, there's like other guys. It's probably mostly humans and elves, but let's be so real. This place is so racist. It is probably mostly made up of like non-humanoids and weird little freaks and red guys. I don't know.
Red guy. Oh, no, I think we see Danganronpa. I'm like, what do you mean? No.
From Danganronpa. The red guy. But yeah, so also during this time, Margaret and Rover Senior they've been in solitary confinement. Because, you know, they murdered Norman and they got into a fight. And also, the guards kind of hate their asses because they're constantly causing problems. But supposedly they're supposed to be set to release today. That's what Julian hears, and he's like, ah, shit. So he knows they're gonna come after him. He knows for a fact, like, they don't give a shit. Rover Senior is in jail for life, and no one really knows how long Margaret has to be in jail for. So they have nothing to lose. They can just come after him, and it won't matter. They don't care. So
There's no death sentence?
I don't know. I don't know. Good question. As far as I'm aware, no.
There's always something else.
There's always something else. I don't know. But yeah, June's like, shit, they're gonna come after me, they're gonna try to kill me. So he goes out into the courtyard and he finds a shank out there. And he goes and he locks himself in his cell. And while he's in there, he's like, wait, but what if I just killed myself instead, since I have this shank? And he's like about to do it, and then he's like, wait a minute, but Norman would hate my ass if I like died and it was for like nothing. So he doesn't do it. But then Margaret and Rover Senior show up and they start threatening him. And he's like not really responding. And like, dude, like, say something, you little piece of shit. And he turns around and he throws the shank through the bars of the cell. And then it stabs Rover Senior in the neck and it kills him.
Yay!
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 Yay! Yay! Yay! 18 years old. So Julian's gonna spend a year in solitary confinement for, killing a guy. Yeah, it was the Rover, but you did kill a guy. It's only gonna be a year because he's like 17. It's whatever. But while he's in there, Julian starts hallucinating that the room is like turning into like the ocean, and the exit to the room turns into a lighthouse. So he's like low-key getting kind of fucked up. But the lighthouse stays off, and Julian kind of he's left out in the ocean, and he can't reach the lighthouse no matter how hard he tries.
That makes so much sense because he's like, why did he just stand?
He can't reach it. Also, God forbid someone make a piece of art. Goddamn. But yeah, the waves start talking to him, and they start talking to him in Norman's voice, and they're basically telling him to kill himself and to drown. And so he does. He gives in and he drowns. And I can't explain this without reading it again. So we're back.
Eventually, I decide I've had enough. I plunge my head beneath the sea and let the waves have their way as I sink deeper into the depths. Then, suddenly, there is a light. The creature that emerges from the water to drink up the light is not me. He bears my face and my body, but he isn't me, not truly. With no one left to love or mourn me, I drowned in that sea, and I fear I may never resurface, not until this husk of myself is loved yet again. Frantically, the tabaxi wades towards the source of the light, towards the open door of the lighthouse. Finally, he may seek refuge from the storm and the night. Only, when he emerges, he's not inside of the lighthouse. He isn't even soaked in seawater. No, he's inside the prison, where he's been this entire time.
So he realizes he's been hallucinating now, because, he's not out in the ocean anymore. And he goes out to the cafeteria, and he's greeted by all of the other inmates, who end up giving him the title of the Rover, because, he killed the last one, and he also got Margaret sent off to some other prison somewhere else. And they're like, yay! You're the Rover now! And that's who he is. He's that guy. So now we're on to 23 years old. So Rover gets his sentence extended by 5 years because he did kill a man, and that's kind of not very good. And also this prison sucks ass, and the amount of time they put you in there for is kind of arbitrary, and they don't give a shit about you. But life has been kind of chill since he became the Rover. People kind of respect him now because he's the big bad of the prison. Everyone's kind of scared of him, and he kind of runs the place. So it's chill. It's nice. But he gets yeah. What's up?
Oh, you said Rover's name, as Julian, is a spoiler, right? Is Julian a spoiler?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was contemplating something.
Really? Do you want to share the class?
Okay, what I was contemplating was definitely not accurate, whatsoever.
Okay.
But I thought that there was, this is a revealing in the campaign, where you're like, I guess earlier, when he killed Rover Sr., that would have been the moment where everyone in, your dinger quit, oh! That was the oh moment. That's not the oh moment, it's just like, oh moment, yeah.
No, his name is going to get doxxed. Actually, he's going to get doxxed.
Oh no. Okay.
that's how it's getting revealed. I can say that. He's getting doxxed. Rover gets released. And, now he's back out there. He's back from Anacourt. It's chill now. He's out of jail. But he kind of comes to the realization...
What are you doing at the bottom of your screen?
What?
Look behind you. The screen behind you.
I don't know.
How could you see
Oh, you freaking guys. Anyway, he's back outside.
Wait, before you win.
What?
I'm just kidding. Oh my god.
He realizes that he doesn't have anywhere to go now. He was homeless when he got arrested, and he's still homeless now. His brother is fucking dead. He's got nothing. He's all on his own. And this kind of ruins his life. So he just drags himself to this pub, and he manages to buy a bottle of vodka. He's actually short 1 gold, but the guy running the place, it takes so much pity on him that he lets him have it anyway. It's really cool. But yeah, he buys a bottle of vodka, and the human that's running the pub is like, hey, do you want a room? Because, you look like you've had a rough time. But Rover doesn't want to do this, because he's low-key a little bit scared of humans now, because, the last ones he encountered murdered his brother and took out his eye. So he's a little bit fucked over. She's like, no, I'm chill, thanks. And he leaves. And he drinks that entire goddamn bottle of vodka until he just passes out beneath a lamppost.
My legs begin to shake as they struggle to keep me from toppling over. I force them to keep going, at least until a wave of exhaustion trumps my stubbornness. I slide against the nearest lamppost until I drop down to the ground. My eyelids struggle to stay open as I stare up at the yellow light shining down on me, and with each passing second I can feel myself slipping further from consciousness. As I fall further and further into slumber, my one and only hope is that I won't have the misfortune of seeing the morning sun.
Has he had alcohol before?
No.
And he chose vodka?
Yeah.
Do you know what vodka tastes like?
Shit, probably.
Dude, it tastes like hand sanitizer. Like, I was like, I've
Yeah.
never seen people drink it and they're like,
Okay.
It's crazy to commit a whole bottle too.
Okay, well, I hope you know, this is a reference to...
An Interpol lyric?
No.
Okay.
To a Wattpad fanfiction.
Yay!
Of Interpol,
Okay.
where Paul is like, he was supposed to be getting sober, but then he goes off into like this random ass convenience store and he buys a bottle of vodka and he passes out on the streets and then he like plays drunkenly at one of their shows. It all goes back to Interpol. So now I need to talk about the Rover Trifecta.
Yay!
Now I need to talk about whatever the hell this is. So I also need to mention Wave on the Shore.
That's very cringy.
Yeah, no, I think it's really funny. But, so, obviously Julian Plenty is not a Tabaxi name. Like, Tabaxi names are like warrior cats names, and like random ass shit like that. So his was Wave on the Shore. But you know, he was 3 years old when he was named that. He doesn't remember it, he couldn't fucking say it. Julian and Norman came up with their names based on what they heard around them, and you know, they were surrounded by humans and elves, so they just got basic ass white boy names. But Wave on the Shore is his actual name, and that's important because I've changed the names of these stupid fuckers so that it makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
So we're gonna start out with Wave, the Wave half of Wave on the Shore. So I want to preface that all of this is like, it's not like a DID thing. This is supposed to be a stupid metaphor for like his psyche. Think about this like Inside Out logic. Think about it like Inside Out, okay? So Wave is Rover at both like his truest and most vulnerable state. And he's able to exist when Rover feels loved as himself and not when he's being like whatever people want him to be or some kind of persona. Wave is like, or like Julian, whatever, has like quote unquote died and drowned multiple times, but he comes back. But he does have his limits, which is 3. And he's at like a weird 2.5 right now. Which we'll talk about. The first one was dormant. But he does like as like an inside out type entity, he does have like effects on how Rover acts. So he's basically Rover's like capacity and ability to feel love. And he also gives Rover like courage to like kind of deal with all of the problems that come with life instead of like trying to go against them and like just, you know, go with the flow, that type of thing, hence Wave. But also he's really reckless and kind of impulsive and also a little bit of an idiot. He's a little bit stupid. But then there's Shore. This is Rover at his worst and also most dishonest, a lying motherfucker and constantly trying to save his own skin. He basically acts as like a shield for Wave. But you know, he's described as being a glass shield, so pretty easily breakable is the thing. But he's apathetic. He can't feel love, and the only thing that he cares about is Wave and making sure that Wave's alive, because he knows that if Wave dies, he's fucked. He can't help Rover on his own, because he's an apathetic little shit, and he can't do anything. But basically, he's just cowardice and anxiety and overthinking, but at the same time also being like logic and reasoning, and also constantly complying and doing what other people want you to do. But he acts as like the solid ground, hence why he's called Shore.
And the next one is named Omba.
No! Yeah, the next one is named Omba. But they used to be one and the same. They used to be the same entity. But then I think like the lighthouse and all of that is kind of what split them apart into like the necessity for needing a shield to protect Wave. So they used to be able to like fulfill the same kind of thing. Like he could both be like logical and like preserve himself while also still being capable of like loving and like it not being like a huge problem. But now he needs to really be like guarded off and make sure that, you know, no one can hurt him. And then of course there's Rover. Rover without the. On the. He's the middle ground. He's the real guy, and he's kind of, you know, swayed either way based on the actions of Wave or Shore. He's just Wave using Shore as a shield. He's not feeling, but he's not super honest either. He does lie quite a bit. You know, he doesn't tell anybody his name. He kind of lies about where he's from later on. He says that he's like born and raised in Clarux, and that's not true. He was born and raised in Atacourt. He's some little in-between guy, but he can kind of be more or like one or the other depending on what is supposed to happen in the campaign. But yeah, now we can talk about Roland. There's no warnings for this one. There's no warnings for this one.
Nothing bad's gonna happen, right?
I mean,
Nothing bad's gonna happen, right?
I mean, it's okay. So part 1 is called Rest My Chemistry. I love Roland. I love Roland. People think he's a dilf.
Do you have anything attached?
To this?
Yes.
No.
No!
Why would I?
Because it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny, but
It's so funny. Is he your character too?
yeah, Roland's my character. I just don't have much art for it.
Yes, I'll send it.
God, hold on. I'll get it. I'll get the fan art.
Yay!
Hang on.
I got permission. Literally, I got permission to do icons for the CD3. And Ortiz.
So someone drew this?
Why is not?
I don't like that his pecs are shiny.
You should have hair on his neck.
Yeah, like why has like I don't care. Like Roland is a trans man. I'm gonna say this. He's a trans man. Like there's no reason that he should be shiny.
I so funny.
Like he's fully transitioned.
Usually, I hate people like, yeah, he has a beard, but he has no hair anywhere else. You should have front hair and just hair. And
He has hooves actually. I draw my art with hooves, so he has those. But yeah, part 1, Rest My Chemistry. So Rover wakes up and he's in this unfamiliar room, which he kind of figures, oh wait, this might be a teenager lives here. I don't fucking know. But in the corner of the room, he spots like this double-necked guitar. He's like, whoa, this is like really fancy and crazy. I should like sell this shit. And as he's thinking about it, he starts hearing footsteps. He's like, shit, I gotta get out of here. But he's too hungover, so he can't run away. So he just sits back down on the bed because he like is actually too fucking dizzy to go anywhere. And he gets greeted by Roland. He starts kind of explaining that he was like walking around at night and he found Rover slumped underneath this lamppost. And he was like, oh, this is really sad and pathetic. So he brought Rover to his home just like make sure that he wasn't sleeping out on the streets and, you know, give him somewhere to stay for the night. But it's kind of clear that Rover is homeless, like he looks homeless. And so he's like, hey, why don't you just like stay with me if you want, and you can like not have to go live out on the streets.
Found family!
Found family! Literally found family! Yeah, so they decide that Rover's gonna stay around, and he'll help around the shop, at least until Rover can like make enough money and then get back on his feet. And it's chill and awesome. Part 2 is called My Best Friend's a Butcher. It's been 2 months, and they're friends!
Yay.
They are friends! But Rover is like left alone in the shop, it's raining and whatever, and Roland's out like running some errands, who knows. And Rover's like bored as fuck. So he starts snooping around. There's a little bit of suspicion that's kind of brought up about like why the hell Roland lives by himself. Because like he has like a room that belongs to like a kid. You would think that he wouldn't be all by himself, but he is. So that's kind of weird, but like he doesn't care. He instead decides, I'm gonna go play the guitar that's in my room because I'm really curious about it. So he takes it and he goes back down and he starts playing his guitar and he's shit at it. He's so bad at it. It's not tuned. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he starts trying to make a little song. And Roland comes back and he's like, yeah, you can keep it. It hasn't been touched in like years, so yeah, go ahead.
That's concerning.
What do you mean?
The kid's room with a bunch of stuff that's still as
Yeah, that is concerning, don't you
Is
think?
he just replacing his lost child with Rover?
No, it's not a replacement thing.
Okay.
It just happens to quote unquote be that way, but like yeah. Part 3, this is one you guys don't actually know about. This is new shit!
Yay!
Part 3 is called Future Paved with Penalties. So it's been like around 4 to 5 months now. Roland decides he's gonna take Rover hunting. They occasionally go hunting before. Rover like gradually got a little bit better at it, and now they like go hunting a lot. And for the first time, Rover's able to go and like hunt on his own. Roland's not like supervising him or helping him out. Rover's gonna do it all on his own, and he does it. And they go home, and so they go home and they find Andre. He's this blonde ass human. He's racist as fuck. Roland has dealt with this guy for a while. He's been harassing Roland for a decade now. No! Like he calls Roland slurs.
Oh, okay.
He calls him slurs and like would steal all of his game. Like he's a bad person. This is not enemies to lovers. This is like actual like hate crimes. Do not date the person who's hate criming you. Crazy.
Good advice.
But yeah, they find Andre waiting outside of the shop. So Rover's like, go inside. I'm gonna talk to this guy. And Rover's able to scare off Andre because he meant like, Andre's like, who the fuck are you? And Rover's like, oh, I'm the Rover. And Andre freaks the hell out. He's like, you're what now? Because yeah.
Has Andre been in the prison then?
Rover kind of like deduces that, oh, this guy's a fucking bitch. He's a hooligan and he takes shit from people. This guy has either definitely served time in prison or he knows about what's going on in prison, probably because he's been very close to getting into prison. So he would know that he can definitely threaten him just by saying that his name is the Rover. And so Andre scurries the hell off. He's like, I'm not dealing with the Rover. He gets scared. But Roland is like low-key a little bit upset about this because Roland kind of believes in the idea that you have to be compliant. Otherwise, these guys are going to like fucking like lynch you. Like they're going to get you if you don't just do what they say. So he's like, hey Rover, just like chill the hell out. You don't need to like be like my knight in shining armor. Just stay out of trouble, and if he comes back, just do what he says.
Question.
Mhm.
How old is Rover?
Roland here, I think he's like now I know like right now he's like 50. He's 49. So this was 6 years ago. So 43. Yeah, they're 20 years apart. But now I can talk about Rover's parallels with Ella, who is Roland's daughter, and also the fact that Rover is Roland's son. Because this whole bit is basically a very big parallel to what happened with Ella. They both had a situation where they encountered Andre outside of the shop, but like things went very differently because Rover is like himself. He's not Ella. He's very different. Like yes, he's Roland's son, but he's not the exact same as Ella. So you know he's able to like stand up for Roland, unlike Ella, who's she was 13 when it happened, and you know she like kind of got sheltered away from it. And so there's some things here, but they're both kids of Roland who are forced to witness orc racism.
Is Ellie human?
Ella's an orc. She's a half orc. Yeah.
I'm like, it strikes turkey in the eye. What does that mean?
No, so whenever they were hunting after turkeys, that were out there. So, this is so fucking dumb, but I put symbolism in where they killed the turkey.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but specifically Ella strikes her in the eye because she is like kind of having to turn a blind eye to the racism that's going around, mostly because of Roland. Roland's kind of sheltering her, and Rover strikes it in the heart because, you know, his whole deal is love and the fact that he has a hard time loving people, yada 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 yada. I love literary devices. Part 4 is called Young Again. So Rover has been living with Roland for half a year now. And now he's like making some earnings from like busking and playing his little guitar out in Adicard. People are like, whoa, this guy's got some cool shit going on. That's kind of crazy. But Rover comes home one night. Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, is the elephant lady and them still alive and all of them?
They're around. Yeah.
They don't come back.
No, they're not coming back. You're chill. You don't have to worry about them. Who gives a shit?
Like he's in Adicard and he's on the streets and like.
Nah, he's chill. Don't worry. But yeah, he comes home one night and he and Roland, like, they have a little smoke out on the balcony and they're having a little chat. So Rover, like, he's kind of talking to him. He's like, hey, why do you live alone? And so Roland kind of talks about, first off, the fact that, like, him and his wife divorced after what happened with Andre, because, like, the weird thing with orc racism here, like, Adicort was really heavily, specifically racist against orcs, because there's this weird bit of lore in D&D, which heavily implies that, like, all half-orcs are, like, only born out of, like, rape, and that orcs are raping humans. And so all of the racism is founded in that, and so they were antagonizing Roland and being like, you raped your wife, and your child is a product of rape, and we hate you, and we're gonna come in there, we're gonna save your wife, we're gonna fucking kill you. And so they divorced so that, you know, they wouldn't come and, like, kidnap her, and they might leave him alone if he's just, like, you know, chilling out and doesn't, you know, not married to a woman.
Yeah, or just like a D&D thing, or is it like more?
No, that's a D&D thing.
Yeah, the D&D race lore is wild.
It's like actually fucked up. You would think it would be better because of the fact that there's so many, like, diverse races in D&D, but no, there's somehow still racism in D&D.
Yeah, some orcs hold it up with characters, but also have to like shake down resource tests.
Yeah.
And so like they'll do stuff to like not seem as bitch.
But yeah, you know, Roland's yapping. He also talks about Ella. who previously owned the guitar and also died. She had like I kid you not, she had super asthma, and she died from super asthma because Roland couldn't do anything for her, and she basically died around the same time that Norman did. And this freaks Rover the hell out, because he's still low-key kind of freshly traumatized. You know, he hears like the 10 years and like 13 years, and he starts having like flashbacks. And, you know, Roland takes him inside, and he's talking to him, and then, you know, we find out he talks to Roland. He's like, yeah, my name is Julian Plenty, and also I got fucked up in the prison, and they took my eye, and they killed my brother, and yeah. But it's okay. Yeah, what's up? They came up with it. They was like, we're the Plenties! And they didn't spell it right either. We're Plenty! Wait, that's cute. Wait, that's silly. Okay. Part 5 is called Case in a Public Place. So, Roland gets wrongfully imprisoned after he drops his knife case in public. Because they're orc racist. Literally, he was going to get them sharpened, and then...
He's a butcher.
Yeah, because he's a butcher. And... Yeah, because he's a butcher. And then he trips and he drops them in front of a crowd of people, and they're like, oh my god, he's a slasher, he's gonna kill us. And then and then the police show up and they arrest him for no reason. Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't die, right?
No, he's fine. He's still alive. He's chill. But Julian runs off and he goes to visit Roland in the prison, and he's kind of trying to figure out how he can get Roland out of there. He's like, maybe I can like work all day in the shop. Maybe I can sell my guitar, because that would probably go for a ton of money. That guitar is like crazy rare and expensive. It looks weird, and there's like maybe 4 of them in the entire world. It's a weird ass guitar. Okay, so someone walked into the shop one day when Ella was still alive and was like basically begging to like trade this guitar for like a ton of meat. And Roland was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking do that. That's a guitar. That's not money. And then Ella shows up and is like, wait, can I have it? Can I please have it? And so Roland agreed to trade the guitar for like a shit ton of meat. And that's how they got it. But yeah. Roland's like, no, you're not gonna sell your guitar. You're gonna take that guitar and you're gonna leave. You're gonna go to Clarux because they're really gonna like you because you're this weird little angsty motherfucker. And you're playing your little guitar, and they'll think that's awesome. You can go out there and you can make your life for yourself out there instead of staying here. Everybody hates you because you're a tabaxi. And so he doesn't really want to, but Julian agrees. And also, this is the second metaphorical death of Julian. So we're getting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Clarux Era!
Yay!
Yay! Okay. So he goes to Clarux now. And
Sorry.
Is it the person that makes you good that
no.
Oh.
This is my good friend, Rusty. He's awesome. Don't worry. That was someone on Art Fight. I have no clue.
Oh, that's a random person.
Yeah, just a random person.
Oh, I don't know who your friend is.
No,
Oh.
some random ass person I guess thought he was hot enough to like draw his abs and make him shiny. But anyway, Rover moves out to Clarux and he starts busking full time. He like lives outside and he plays his guitar and he does nothing else. He's just doing this nonstop. He starts gaining some popularity because they're like, dude, what the fuck is this guy doing? Does he even sleep? Like, what is he doing? And he ends up getting into this music festival, and like the prize for like, it's like a competition kind of, and the prize for winning or like doing the best according to the judges is like a record deal, and he wins a record deal. So now he's like an established musician, and it gets freaking crazy, man.
It's just American Idol.
Yeah, it's like American Idol. He goes to American Idol. But yeah, you know, shit's crazy. He releases not 1 album, but 2 in the span of a single year. He's got like fucking posters and like concerts and shit, and he's like touring, and he's like doing interviews and whatever. Oh god. Yeah, but it's a lot. And it's really exhausting.
How long did it take you to make a lot of that?
That my friend Cosmo did that.
Hours.
I don't know where he did that, but I'm so glad. Actually, I think he did that on Instagram.
I believe that.
But yeah, he's looking kind of tired, and he needs to release his 3rd record. So, about like a year or so after, he goes outside. He goes on a little camping trip. He's like, I'm having crazy writer's block right now. So he goes and he takes a little camping trip, and he's like trying to work on his new album. And he finds this little kudu. It's like an antelope that's being like like some like lion tabaxi are like trying to hunt it down and kill it. They already killed its mom, and they're trying to kill this one. So Rover manages to save her, and he takes her in, and he names her Tony. Yes. Roland is also named after an interval song. Norman is named after the puppet that is used in the Evil music video.
I know that fucking puppet!
Nis is named after an interval song. Nis. Yeah, no, okay, so Nis Mob is supposed to be the song Nis Mob. Yeah. And then there's the Burcoats incident. So about 2 years in, come on, do you want me here in Bristol board? I actually didn't know how to spell Bristol board.
Is that correct?
No,
No,
it's supposed to be like the Bristol paper.
B-R-I-S-T-O-L.
I thought it was bad. Yeah, but you know it just happens like 2 years in. Rover is in like the small town of Burcoat. He's just kind of hanging out. He's not there to do a show or anything. He's just there to visit. He's having a good old time. But he's drunk as hell because you know he's minding his own business. He's a grown ass man. He can do what he wants. But there's some sort of music event going on there that apparently was for like kids. But they're like, Rover, the last guy's dropped out and you're here. Can you please perform? Because we need a final act. It's like, yeah, sure, man. So he goes in there and he plays his little guitar and he sings his little songs and he's drunk as hell and he makes a fool of himself. And this is based off of Interpol at La Route du Rock 2001 when they showed up to a very important show and were drunk as hell. So I need to show you how bad it was.
Oh, she's bad. Oh, but it's in the way that she poses, that she puts in my hair. Oh, but she's in my house, that she's out on the sidewalk. She's in the heart and she breaks it apart. She puts the waist into my little heart. Oh, she put the waist into my little heart. Oh, she's in my heart. She is breaking the sidewalk. She puts the waist in. I don't even know how to.
Compilation of this shit. It was rough.
Apologize for this? Like, what happened?
I actually don't know. They did go back to La Route du Rock eventually, so they did go back, and it did not go nearly as bad. I think after this show, they swore off of like drinking before or like during their shows because they're like that was so dog shit. But yeah, it was rough. So Rover doesn't go back to Burcoat after he has this very similar incident. But now we're on to pop rock, and there's gonna be some gay people. Yowie! Yowie! Yowie ahead! So, part 1 is called Combat Salacious Removal. This is Fizz. I love his ass. He is a Dragonborn Water Genasi, and yeah, he's based off of an axolotl. That is the first drawing of them that I ever did.
Yay!
It was that shit. Yeah, so Rover's doing a photo shoot for his 5th record, LP Tour. He's doing a photo shoot for the cover, and he's supposed to be doing this with a model who hasn't shown up yet. So the photographers run off into Clarux, and they're looking for the missing model. And they show up with Fizz, who's not the model, but they think he's the model because the model had like first name started with an F and last name with Scaldra, and this guy's Fizzle Scaldra. So they're like, yeah, this has got to be him, right? The model's a woman.
To be fair, with Dragonborn, you can't often tell.
SMH my head. But Rover doesn't correct the mistake because he's like, wait, this guy's like low-key kind of cute. So he just doesn't say jack shit. He's like, yeah, that's the model.
My old prince.
Yeah. So they like get ready for the photo shoot, and they get told to do how to do a stage. Like they're like, you're gonna do a stage kiss for this. But Fizz doesn't know how, so they just end up actually kissing. But like, Rover's into it, I guess. He's like chill with it. He's like, wait.
That's the top image.
Yes, that is the top image. Look, in campaign, Fizz has like a little like Polaroid of it. He has a photo of them making out for this photo shoot, and when he saw Rover again, he asked him to sign it.
Aw. That's it. Is this your favorite?
This is played by the DM. This is the DM character, but at this point, we basically have like joint ownership. We do share custody. But after the photo shoot, Rover's like, hey, can I buy you a drink? Because, you know, he thinks this guy's chill. Anyway, he wakes up in his bed with a splitting headache, and oh wow, he's not alone.
Oh wow, would you look at that?
But the first day he was nice, but he's orange.
the first day he was very nice, but he is orange. Should I continue? I like calling him orange, even though he's not orange at all. But he has orange cat energy, I fear.
Yeah, he does.
So yeah, they did low-key kind of get drunk and have sex. But Rover is like, shit, you gotta get the hell out of here. So he gets Fizz out of his home, and he, you know, tries to go on to stay. He has like rehearsals and shit. He has stuff to do. But he can't. He's like doing dog shit at all of it because he can't stop thinking about Fizz. And, so he goes home, and then Fizz shows up at the apartment because he's also gay, and he also can't stop thinking about Rover. He's like, that was like a really big deal. That was like kind of crazy. And they kind of realize, okay, wait, Fizz doesn't have any clue who Rover is. He doesn't know that Rover's a celebrity. Yes, let me explain this. So in Clarux, like hookers specifically are like big buff men. It's like supposed to be the opposite of what hookers are here. So big buff men are hookers in Clarux. And so Rover crazy! Yeah, so when Rover saw Fizz, he's like, oh god, this guy's totally a hooker, isn't he? Because Rover is a big sorry, not Rover. Rover's a twink. Fizz, on the other hand, is a big buff man. And so he's like, ah shit, wait, I totally just slept with the hooker. He didn't though, because Fizz is from Burcoat. So he's not a Clarux hooker, and they're like, wait, what if we just had like a real serious relationship, and it's like really cute and awesome. Part 3, yeah, the depths. Part 3 is called the depths. He's in the water. But yeah, I'm under the water. I'm about to get to a point where I'm just gonna start reading a bunch of shit because I think these guys are cute and I need you to understand. So this one happens like 4 months into the relationship, and it's basically just when Fizz realizes that Rover's terrified of thunderstorms. Like, thunderstorms make him start hallucinating again. It's fucked. So he really doesn't like thunderstorms.
I love when characters have travel with storms. Yes!
Yes!
I didn't know those covers.
He like starts shaking and like can't control himself. It's really bad. But yeah. Shit. Okay. I force myself to take a deep breath. It takes every shred of courage left within me, but I manage to leave the bed and escape into the kitchen. With horribly shaky hands, I grab a glass and fill it with cold water. I stare down at the glass for a while. My hands are far too unstable to swiftly bring it to my lips, so I only lift it in the tiniest of increments. Then comes another clap of thunder that rattles the walls of the apartment, and, due to my already panicked state, the glass of water goes tumbling out of my hands and smashes onto the floor in a million pieces. I don't know what comes over me as I stare down at the shards of glass, but I feel raindrops of my own begin to run down my face, and I quickly get rid of them before kneeling down to pick up the pieces of glass. I hate how much control the stupid weather has over me, and much more, I hate how impossible it is for me to get a grip of myself. I must have been far too overwhelmed by the storm and the task before me, as I don't even notice that Fizz has appeared until I feel the familiar sensation of his strong hands caressing my shoulders. For that singular moment, I don't even hear the thunder outside. I sigh and feel myself ease up just the tiniest bit. Did I wake you up? I manage to say. Fizz doesn't say anything. Instead, he slowly brings one of my hands away from the floor and turns it over so that my palm is face up. I wince at the sight of a few bloody cuts the glass is left on my hands. Fizz's hands travel down to my sides, and I feel him rest his head on my shoulder. Come back to bed. But the glass isn't going anywhere. We'll deal with it in the morning. He plants a kiss on the crook of my neck before murmuring to me again. if it makes you feel any better, I'll stay with you until the storm's over. And he does, and they stay awake and they fall asleep together, and it's really cute.
I think it's when you had like really sad writing.
And it's like the stupid fucking art. Anyway, then there's Valentine's Day special, which is again just more of me reading shit and going, guys, they're so cute. Ah!
I think it's funny. You're like, this is the shitty excuse. The whole presentation.
The whole presentation is a shitty excuse. Yeah. So here's this first little snippet. This is Rover talking first. I really do enjoy it. Making music, I mean. It can just get tiring sometimes. It'll be nice when I finally quit, I think. And you can't now? Not yet. Fizz wraps his fingers on the counter, his face scrunching up a tad as he thinks. Well, what would you do if you could? I haven't really thought that far ahead, I guess. To get my mind off it, I put some of the cooked beef onto Fizz's plate and start making something for myself. I really just want to go home to my dad. I shoot a glance at Fizz. Maybe even settle down with someone I really like. That's all I want, really. He's talking about Fizz. He's talking about Fizz. He wants to marry Fizz.
Yay! Okay. I heard dad and I was like, wait, this is dad? And I
Roland. Roland is his dad. He calls Roland his dad. Roland is very much his father. And the second one, I weave my fingers between Fizz's, but frown when I feel something cold and metallic. I hold his hand up to get a better look at the ring on his finger. How I managed to miss this is beyond me. Oh, you noticed! Fizz exclaims. What do you think? I thought about putting it on the other hand, but I didn't want you to get the wrong idea. What, that some other much more handsome tabaxi had swooped in and stolen you from me? Exactly! He pauses. But, for the record, I don't think that could happen. Oh? Why's that? Well, I don't think there is a more handsome tabaxi.
Yay!
Ah!
So cute!
They're so cute! I, like a couple days ago, actually, I woke up and started thinking about them and was, like, actually tweaking out. It was really bad.
Was this like a normal wake up? Like 9 a.m. or was that like 3 a.m.?
No, this is not a normal one, thank
Okay.
God. But I did wake up to wait.
We got it.
I love you, blue and yellow, yummy. Anyway, part 4 is called Breaker 1. So, they've been dating for 2 years now. They've been doing great. But, you know, Rover's starting to think, you know, maybe I'll tell Fizz about, you know, being Julian and, you know, going to prison and my brother being dead and, you know, all that fucked up shit that he has no clue about because Fizz is a fucking idiot. But then instead some insecurities start striking up instead of that. First off being that Fizz might just be dating him because he's the Rover, and you know, it's been 2 years. Fizz has to know that he's the Rover by now, right?
How did he not? Doesn't he go to shows and stuff?
No, so here's the thing. Every single time when Fizz would go to visit Rover, he would genuinely be so laser focused on the idea of seeing Rover that he would not notice the fact that there were like screens with his face plastered everywhere. He genuinely just wasn't paying enough attention to realize.
But like, doesn't Rover go to shows and stuff though? Is he like,
He's-
I'm off to perform?
He's aware that Rover's a musician, but he thinks that Rover's like a small musician.
Okay.
He doesn't realize that he's like the musician. So yeah, there's that. Then he's kind of worried that, you know, like, what if their relationship becomes public? And like, what if people like start harassing us? You know, what if bad things happen? They actually have been getting stalked for the past year.
By me.
Yeah, so that he doesn't know about that, but that's a thing. So again, that's kind of already happened. And also, he's kind of worried that he might lose this because everyone that Rover's ever lost, you know, he's lost them somehow. Norman got fucking murdered, and Roland is in jail.
I forgot he's still in jail.
Yeah, he has been in jail this entire time. Yeah, poor King. So Rover kind of comes to the conclusion that being with Fizz is way too big of a risk. He's like, this is a bad idea. This is actually a terrible idea.
So by breaker, you mean break down.
Yes, and also this is the Interpol song.
I thought it was gonna be. I was thinking
This is Beauty Girl.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. There was a version of it where Rover is pink. I just wanted to make an alternate thing where he's yellow. But yeah, he's like, I shouldn't be with Fizz. It's actually a really bad idea. So he's smoking outside on the balcony when he's thinking about this, and he goes inside and he kind of starts explaining all of his worries to Fizz. And Rover, he's specifically saying that he needs a break. He doesn't want to break up. So they're not broken up. They're just not living together. And they're not seeing each other. But they're not broken up. Prepare your tissues.
Slowly, just to draw the inevitable, I creep back inside the apartment and sit on the bed next to Fizzle. I nudge at him and murmur his name until he eventually stirs and wakes up. He rubs his eyes and smiles up at me. What time is it? Early, I say, not fully able to read the clock from where I'm sat. You got a minute? Of course I do. Not like I was doing anything better. He sits up, far more attentive now. He holds his arm out to me, and I take that as a signal to move closer to him. He wraps an arm around me, and I rest my head upon his shoulder. You seem kinda stressed, Fizz notes. If something's up, you can tell me, if you want. I take a long, deep breath and use this short moment of peace and normality to imagine the alternate universe where I'm not a coward. The one where I have the courage to be honest and maybe, just maybe, everything turns out okay. But I'm not brave. I never will be. I air out my balcony ponderings to Fizzle, my fears that I don't believe I could protect him if something were to happen, and my need to sort out my own issues without dragging him down. He sits in silence, listening as I do my best to explain that I'm by no means trying to split up, just that I need space. It isn't until I finally run out of things to say and a short moment of silence passes between us that Fizz finally says something. Do you want me to go? I shake my head. Can you stay? Please? Just for tonight? He agrees to my plea without a second of hesitation and adjusts himself to get comfortable yet again. I let him wrap his arms around me and I lay my head upon his chest, taking in every bit of warmth from him before it'll inevitably be gone. Hey, I just barely hear Fizz murmur to me, I love you, okay? My breathing goes shallow for a moment and all I can do is nod. And just when I know he's asleep, that he can no longer hear me and there's nothing to be afraid of anymore, I whisper a small, I love you too. After this happens, Rover and Fizz take a year-long break away from each other. And that is the end of Pub Rock.
By Interpol! Yeah, so now what the fuck is gonna happen? Because, his boyfriend is gone, his dad is still in jail, he's kind of right back at square one, except, he's a musician, that's basically it. So he's gonna just keep playing his music. He's gonna do what he does best. He's keep, doing his tours and his shows and whatever, and making music. He releases his final album, The Other Side of Make Believe, and he kind of gets to work on these other two albums, which Paul released separately, called Julian Plenty's Skyscraper and Banks, which in universe it would probably just be called Plenty or whatever, because it's his last name. Whatever. He's working on that. And also, he decides, I should go back to Burcoat! It's been a really long time! But why? Why the fuck is he doing that? After now, conveniently a year after he's been separated from his boyfriend. So Wave and Shore are in this one shot. Turn on the bright lights. They're here now. This is the new one. This is the new one that you haven't heard. Yes. So Wave basically, he wants to see Fizz again. He tells that to Shore. He's like, I really want to see Fizz again. And Shore's like, I don't like it, but I'll help you. I'll help you find out how to see Fizz again. First off, they didn't get his address because they're fucking idiots and they were too busy being like, I love my boyfriend, and they never figured out where the hell he lives. They just know that he's from Burcoat and they didn't get his address. But it's okay. Rover comes up with a plan. He's like, wait, I know what to do. So he goes to his manager, her name is Helena, and he's like, okay, so I know I'm gonna do a world tour. Can we add an extra show that's in Burcoat? It's been like 4 or 5 years now. It's been a long time. What if I went back to Burcoat and we framed the whole tour around me finally going back to Burcoat, and it's like this huge big deal, and it could be like a free show. And Helena's like, no, you stupid fucking bitch, you're not doing a free show, because she's greedy as hell and he's her cash cow. So he's able to make it be like dirt cheap. It's like 3 gold. But yeah, he gets that. He gets to do that. But then we go back to Wave and Shore, and they start kind of getting into an argument about both of their, like, kind of shortcomings. Wave is, like, really pissed off because the only reason that, like, the 2.5 heartbreak really ever happened was because Shore was just like, everything's gonna go to shit, this is gonna go so bad, oh my god, and then he shoved Fizz out of his life forever. And that's the only reason that happened, so he's kind of pissed off about that. Like, you have to make this shit up to me because you fucked me over and you're just kind of basically holding me hostage at this point because you're too scared to die when we could just finally go back to the way things should be. And so Shore's like, fine. And he kind of vows like, fine, I'm willing to die if it means that you'll get to be strong again and you'll get to see Fizz again and everything's okay. And so that's kind of like setting up the possibility that maybe like we'll get like growth, and instead of Rover becoming apathetic as shit, he'll actually be able to love people again and be honest and exist as Julian and not like a
dumbass liar.
Rover's so gay, his inner personalities are having it.
And that's the end. Because the rest of what happens to Rover is going on in the campaign, which I have a podcast where I talk about. You should go listen to it if you care about Rover at all. I don't have anything else to say. That's about it. I love my little guy. You should love my little guy too. Thank you for listening to me yap. You should go drink some water. God knows I need some water right now.